All right, well, good evening.
Good evening.
We're going to bring a little heat here tonight. We talk about going outside our comfort zones, right? Of course, outside our comfort zones is comfortable or not comfortable? Not comfortable by definition. So I've never done a PowerPoint presentation, ever. So this is my first time I'm going to rip it, and we're going to see what happens. One of the things that I realized coming into having a speaker you've never seen before is that we have to get a little friendly. We got to get to know each other. This is the group of the subgroup of the kick-ass chiropractors. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you go, you practice all day, seeing people, serving people, putting out fires, handling problems, moving forward, staying focused, clearing out your mind, and then you show up here to get more chiropractic. Like, what the hell? What's the matter with you? There's plenty of good reality TV shows on tonight. You could go check those out. So this is handwritten on a piece of paper and taped to the front of my laptop. I thought, I'm going to run the whole PowerPoint like this. So I started writing with my left hand, thinking it would look sort of like a child's, because I'm right-handed. And the problem was my handwriting started to improve, so it just looked like I had crappy handwriting. Didn't look like a kid's handwriting. So I thought, well, that would be too easy for me to do, to break the rules and circumvent the way you're supposed to do it. So let me just follow the rules. That's a comfort zone breaker for me. So I want to give you a little bit of background. That was me back in December 1962. I didn't know what the hell was going on. But you know what? I didn't have to know, because who was running the show? N8 was running the show. Like, I was all about having this, whatever that is, that little blob in the abdomen. I was all about that. I was excited. I was like checking it out, playing with it and everything, right? Playing with the red blob in your belly, right? So N8's on the job. I wasn't really worried about much of anything. And then we come to the next one, which of course is my psychedelic early 70s, complete with clip-on tie, perfectly. That was my favorite tie. And I had it for all the way until I finished high school. And I just saved it. I thought it was the coolest thing. I thought, man, this is going to come back one day. I'm still waiting for it. I don't think it's coming back. Clip-on ties, they only give them to cops and stuff. And the shirt, yeah, it was hot pink. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, at 7 or 8 or 9 years old, however long it is, being able to wear a hot pink shirt, that took some cojones, man. But I was into it. I was into it. So I was born in New York City, raised in Jamaica, Queens. Family of 7 children. Dad kind of skipped out around 7 years old. Our dinners were more like huddles, right? So we'd say grace, raised in a big Italian Catholic family, right? So here's grace. And we're looking, where are we going to dive first, right? Are we going for the green beans or are we going for the chicken? And I'd look, and my brother was closer to the chicken, and he's just eyeballing it. I'm thinking, I got to go for the green beans now. This is the kind of environment I grew up. And it was more like, break! And everybody started grabbing food, and it was like a complete mayhem, And people were loading their plates. And one of the things that I realized is I could eat. And at the end, we had a rule in our house, and the house rule was you're not allowed to leave the table if anything is on your plate. How many of you had that rule? Yeah. So that was like, okay, I got that, no problem. Until the moment that, my sister couldn't finish her meal. And she's looking at me desperate. She doesn't know what to do. She cannot leave the table. She cannot choke down one more stalk of broccoli or anything like that. So I go like this. I go, put it in my plate. So she thought that was a brilliant idea. So she comes up, and she stands up, and my father, at the time, he stares at, he's like, that's a rule break. It's like he's going after her, right? He's coming across the table. And so she slides it into my plate. I just start inhaling it like a pig in a trough, right? And then my other brothers, I have 4 older brothers, and they all was like, oh, this is fantastic. Feed it to the slob, right? So I'm like getting the plate. I'm like, leave the bones in the grizzle, dude. Just put the food in there. And so this is how it would go. Until the one day when there was no more food left and no leftovers. The only thing that was left was creamed corn. And the creamed corn, you know, you can eat so much of that, but then after a while, you can't eat any more creamed corn. So like my eyes got bigger than my stomach, and I put too much creamed corn on my plate. And my dad, he sat at the head of the table right next to me, right? So he could eat and smack at the same time, right? And so I was in a panic because I was full to the gill of creamed corn, and there was still a sizable pile on my plate. So I thought maybe, you know, he knows that I can eat. I'm a good eater. I got a good track record in the past, right? So what is he? I said, can I just skip out? Just creamed corn. He's like, eat it. And I knew I'd have to eat it. So, you know, everyone got up and they were looking at me with the saddest eyes like, I'm sorry, dude, you're not going to make it, are you? And I choked down that last kernel, and I just looked at him, and he just gave the nod. And, you know, I got the jackhammer leg, and I'm going, oh my God, I got to make it to the bathroom, right? And I made like 3 steps into the living room and just lost all that creamed corn, plus my dinner. And then it was complete mayhem because it was a waste of food, right? It was a waste of, I am so thankful to this day that he didn't make me eat it the second time, because he was that close. So then I passed in my rugby years. I played rugby for Life University. And I had over here on your right was the super mullet. Yeah, that was turbocharged, baby. What do they say? Business up front, party in the back. That was all about it. And what happens is, in rugby I was a wing. And so, you know, I stood around basically just fixing my hair, you know, until the ball came out. And then when I ran, the wind blowing in my hair, you know, I looked like Fabio. And which is really weird because I always made that joke. Oh, I look like Fabio, right? I was at the Natural Products Expo up in Anaheim over the weekend. And I go up to this booth. And the booth is, you know, some whey protein, whatever. And I'm looking for some new protein because I'm sick of the stuff that I'm eating. And I pick up this little flyer, and I'm reading about it. And I see a little picture of Fabio in the corner. And I chuckle like, oh, Fabio, ah. Well, my Dr. Dana, is she here? Slacker? Okay. She elbows me, and she's like, and I go, I can't believe it. I can't believe it's not Fabio. Ah, ha, ha. And she elbows me and catches me good. And I go, what's your problem? She goes, and I look, and because there were a couple of people there, it was Fabio standing 4 feet from me. He's standing right there, and I'm like, Fabio, nice. He still looks good. He's got to be like 60 years old. He's in pretty good shape. Right? He's got to be that old. Some of you youngsters, anybody who doesn't know who Fabio is? Yeah, okay. Yeah, anybody younger than Matt and younger? Okay.
Got 6 of his books. I saw him.
So yeah. So one of the things that occurred, I got into chiropractic. You know, here's the thing. I firmly believe that chiropractic, you're chosen to be a chiropractor. How many of you believe that you're chosen to be a chiropractor? Because you could have been waiters or business people, marketers, right? Garbage people. How many garbage guys we got in here? Anybody took out garbage? Yeah. I was a dish cleaner. I was a dish cleaner in a Greek deli in the dark with a swinging light bulb, and water was dripping on me constantly. It was freaking me out, except that it turns out it wasn't water. They were like these huge cockroaches falling from the ceiling. So I'd go to work with a towel stuffed into my T-shirt, you know, sweating, and I thought, oh, there's got to be something better than this, right? This is what my calling is, to be a dishwasher in a Greek deli in the basement of a New York City place. So my brother says to me, my whole family was under chiropractic care, and I was not because I was away at college. He says, well, maybe you should go, because I was talking about a guy who was doing steroids, right? Division III track and field guy doing steroids back in the early 80s. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I was upset, you know, because I wanted to basically kick his ass, but wasn't happening, so I needed an edge. And my brother says, well, maybe chiropractic can help. I'm like, what? What? Huh? He says, yeah, because, it makes you move better. And I thought, oh, it makes you move better. Okay, I do a lot of moving, so that's good. So I start showing up at this guy's office. And honestly, I don't know why I showed up. I mean, I was getting charged about $7.50 a visit. And it took me 45 minutes to get there by train, and then 45 minutes to get back home. The guy really didn't teach me much about chiropractic. I went continuously there because his front desk staff was pretty hot. So I just showed up there like a little bit early just to, to hang out and, work my moves. But anyway, and in the reception area, on the wall, is a big poster of BJ's The Truth. And I'll never forget that. I'm getting chills now just thinking about that. But I looked at this thing, like, okay, girls aren't hitting on me. And I start reading this thing, and it starts to sink in. And I got it the first time. And I got that cold chill. I got that, oh my God feeling. And it was the easiest decision that I've ever made in my entire life, was to become a chiropractor. After reading that, it was like that. It was smooth. It was effortless. It was the most ease I've ever had. I felt calmer. I knew. So I called up my mom. I said, hey, Mom, I know what I'm going to do for my entire life. She's like, oh, yeah? Now, if my kids say that to me, because they're always saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to be rich. That's all they say. I'm going to be rich and famous. Like, okay, great. Good luck with that. Anyway, so she says, oh, great. That's really good. So I knew that I was kind of on my own with that thing. But it resonated with me, and it's never left me. It still gives me chills when I read that. We chiropractors work with the subtle substance of the soul. Now, that is a grabber right there. That guy was just amazing, So I knew that I was going to be a chiropractor, and yet I never went in for physical ailments. But that experience over that summer gave me, I used to keep a very detailed log of all of my workouts and my resting blood pressure and how many calories I ate. I was crazy, right? I majored in track and field. And the only thing I did different was I got adjusted the previous summer, and I set 4 school records, a couple of meet records, and I was like a beast all of a sudden. And the training wasn't any different. And I knew, nobody could take it away from you no matter how much they say. I knew that that's what it was from, that my performance and my expression of my potential had increased just based on getting adjusted. And I said, wow, this is really cool. So I'm going to be a sports guide now, right? So when I was playing rugby, I was getting smashed up pretty regularly, and, stitches and a couple of things like that. Sprained ankle, which is pretty nasty, and a finger that got caught in somebody's jersey, and some nasty stuff like that. But it wasn't enough to stop me from playing. I just loved it. And I never played a contact sport growing up. And when I played rugby, it was something that any rugby players in here? Yeah. So there's something that occurs on the field that you're responsible for your mate. You're responsible to be at his side when the ball goes down or when he's into a ruck or something like that. And he's responsible for you. And it's like almost like a bond that you would get in war, or some traumatic event can draw people together. And this is a volunteer traumatic event. I'm going to go in there and get my head kicked in, right? Well, we were playing in Philadelphia against osteopaths, no less. And it was for the Eastern Rugby Union Championships. And it was a big deal. And so I was in there, and they were kicking these things called up and unders. And an up and under, it's like a kickoff return in football, except there's no penalty if the guy just totally cleans your clock. So I'm waiting there, the ball is up there, and I'm watching this stampede coming towards me, knowing that I have to catch the ball to protect it, and yet I'm still going to get shellacked. And so I catch the ball, and I wake up with Tweety birds hanging around my head. And so the play goes on, and I get up. So that's concussion number 1. A little while later, so I got 3 concussions in the game. The coach pulls me off because I was running up the sideline screaming, "Give me the ball!" But the play was dead. I was on the wrong side of the field, and the coach calls me over. And so here's my teammate standing next to the coach, and he looks at me. He's a chiropractor, and he looks at me. He goes, what day is it? And I said, Philadelphia. And he goes, okay, back in there. And as I'm trotting back off there, like, yeah, coach, I heard my roommate or my teammate, he goes, one eye was pinpoint and the other eye was as big as a dinner plate. You got to get him off the field. So another play goes up. I catch the ball. And this time I wake up. And if you've ever seen those movies where you're on the inside of the huddle looking up and you see all these heads? Yeah? So that's what I saw. And I hear somebody going, can you feel this? Can you feel this? How about this? And I thought, wow, I wonder what's going on. I better find out. Why am I at the bottom of a pile here? Why is everyone looking at me, right? And as I came to kind of a cognition and awareness, there was the medic was on the field, and he was poking my legs and poking my arms, and I had absolutely no feeling and no motor function of anything below my collarbone. And it was more of a curious thing. At one point, I had an out-of-body experience, and I only know this because I knew that my jersey was ripped and had blood on the back of it, and there was no way I could have seen that because they cut the jersey off me. At that point, I started to think about my life and how I wasn't going to be able to be a chiropractor, and how I wasn't going to be able to serve people, how I wasn't going to be able to work with that subtle substance of the soul. And I said, this is bullshit. I'm not going out like this. And they, put a backer board on me and the big head strap, they tape my head down to this board, and then they shovel me into the back of an ambulance. And I'm in and out of consciousness, but I hear the EMT, he's nervous. He doesn't look good. I mean, you don't want an EMT that's nervous, right? Well, this guy's pretty nervous, and he says, blood pressure 60/40, right? And I'm thinking, I've been to a couple of quarters of chiropractic college. I know that's not good. That's basically a blood pressure from sloshing around in the back of the ambulance as we're speeding to the hospital. In the back of the ambulance jumped one of my teammates. We get there to the hospital. They take, a million x-rays, and what happens is they all come back negative, right? The radiologist puts them up like that, like he's shuffling cards, and then walks by like this. I could see out of the corner of my eye, walks out of the room. Now they're waiting for an MRI or whatever they're waiting for. And then my teammate comes over and he says, would you like an adjustment? And I said, yeah. What's the worst it could do? Paralyze me, right? So they take this heavy collar off, and the guy adjusts me. And it sounds like you take one of those paint stirrers and you slap it against a hardwood floor. I mean, it's loud. It's like, boom. And he puts the collar back on. I don't know if he was nervous or not, but I think I got some vibrational therapy as he was adjusting me. So about 10 minutes later, I start to get this pain in the bottom of my foot. And I'm thinking, what's that about? Pain in the bottom of my foot. I'm thinking something's wrong with my foot. Then I start to realize I'm getting pins and needles. And the pins and needles start from the below, and they start to crawl up my shins, my knees, and all of those areas are now coming alive. And I was laughing, and my body became alive again. And I was able, after about 20 minutes, to wiggle my fingers, wiggle my toes, and then along with that sensation came all of the pain and the splitting headache. And I sat up. I'm going to run out of this place. They're not going to do anything more to me. I know what I need to do. I pull the collar off, puke my guts out in the little area that they had there, and I said, get me out. And I stagger out, right? And I made it in time to, catch the end of the rugby party, which was really a bonus. So that was, and that's when I knew that the chiropractic, so now I'm going to take care of quadriplegics. That's my goal. I went from a sports guy to I'm going to handle quadriplegic guys, right? So my wife and I, we met with 7 weeks to graduate. She's 9 months behind me in school. I got 7 weeks to graduate. I don't want a long distance relationship, so I'm blowing her off, right? And of course she hunted me down and she's pursuing me and, you know, she wouldn't leave me alone. So, you know, I gave up and married her. But the truth is that, you know, we moved to New York State. That's my home state. That's where I had a license. And we were so flat broke. We had $1,000 to our name. And we thought that was a lot of money. At the time, our dog, I had a Rottweiler, she had 12 puppies, and we were selling them and living off the $200 or $300, right? And we had the promise of practicing someplace, and it fell through. And we were so dumb and so naive, we just thought, oh, well, something else or better is going to come. That's the way it's going to happen. Our parents, both sets of parents, were flipped out, right? Because here's Kim, pregnant. We're walking around in a shopping cart like homeless people with puppies in them, selling puppies. We have no practice. We have one license between us. And we're happy as clams, you know? We wound up meeting Christy Brinkley, of all people, out in East Hampton, Long Island. And she was like playing with the puppies. I'm like, Christy Brinkley. Oh my God, it's Christy Brinkley. I said, you want to buy a puppy? Want to buy a puppy? She's like, I don't want a puppy. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Anyway, so we were living this like surreal life. We were selling one of those puppies, all these puppies, and a guy says, hey, I know a place where you can go, you can sell a puppy. We're just like, okay, because we're low on food, so we got to sell one of these puppies right off, yeah? Unbelievable. So we went to this little beach party, and we wound up talking to this woman. We see this little girl. She's 20 months old, right? And she's sitting in her little 20-month-old little beach chair at their little cabana. And her head is literally lying flat. I can't even do it, lying flat on her shoulder. Her eyes are crossed. She's drooling. Her shoulders are inverted and turned in. Her knees are knocked. She's she looked, in my mind, I thought, that's a crumpled up piece of paper. And of course, my first thought was, I got to find the parent. And we wound up talking to the mother, and within, I don't know, minutes, we're talking about chiropractic. And we give her the chiropractic story. And we tell it without any provocation. We tell it without any hook. We tell it because we have to tell it, because that's all we knew. We knew how to adjust and tell the story when we got out of school. And I had sheepskin to say I could do that professionally. So we told that story to his mother, and she goes, wow, that's awesome. Do you know any pediatric chiropractors? And my wife and I look at each other, and we're like, well, that's us. We take care of, like, lots of kids, right? And she's like, great, where's your office? We'll come to you. How about that? She's like, that's fantastic. What a great business you have. And I'm thinking, okay, now what am I going to use for a table? So I got my rugby table my portable table. It was cloth covered like these couches. I was thinking about that when I was sitting there. And it had blood stains on it, right? Because guys, mostly around the knees, but sometimes around the face, I had some dark brown stains on it. And so I show up with this 70-pound table, right? And I bring it there, and this little infant, she is just crumpled up in a ball, Her knees are drawn to her belly. And so we begin adjusting her. And I adjust her. It takes how long? A couple of seconds. And then I said, okay, that's it. I'll be back tomorrow. Do you mind if I leave the table here? It's kind of heavy. She's like, no. I said, okay, I'll be back tomorrow. And she goes, well, what do we owe you? I go, we'll work it out at the end of the week. Because I didn't have fees. I don't know what the hell's going on. I just know I got to take care of this baby. So I show up every day, and we adjust this baby while Kim is like chirping in the ear of the mother, giving her the story again and giving her the story again. And about 10 days in, this little girl starts to relax, and her eyes uncross. And I said, what beautiful brown eyes you have. And Adina starts to coo and giggle, and you could hear Mom and Grandma stampeding down the hall to see what's going on. And they're hugging each other and kissing each other, and they're crying, and I'm thinking, it's an atlas. Just move it, right? Like, that's what we do. And to them, they had spent over $500,000 to this best specialist. And they had Mint insurance. And that's what the cost was. And they had cut her eye. saying that the eyeball muscle was too long, and they cut it. And it straightened out her eye for about 3 weeks. And then NH's programming said, no, center. And so that eye went cross-eyed again. And you know what they did in their infinite wisdom? They cut it again. They'll fix that, right? They'll fix that. Talk about barbaric, mechanistic, bad people, right? They're not bad people. They're just misguided, confused, retarded. Don't let me go there. Anyway, so this little one gets adjusted 3 times a week for 5 years. Why? Because the mother knew. She knew that she knew. She knew that we knew. And we were making up technique. We were making up technique. We didn't know what, I mean, we had technique, and we were following what we knew, but nobody ever prepared me for a crumpled up 20-month-old baby. What's the technique class on that? Yeah, there was so much tension in that spinal cord, we knew that we just had to chip away at it. 5 years later, when we left New York, she was walking, she was talking, she was a valedictorian of her class. I just recently got a graduation invitation from college in Connecticut, Quinnipiac College in Connecticut. She graduated. She's got her own radio show now. She's doing her own marketing and radio show. Completely, unequivocally normal, except for when she's exhausted, guess what happens? That eye goes, right? They cut her Achilles tendon, right? Because, you know, cerebral palsy was the diagnosis, right? Mom had like 40 ultrasounds and a C-section, right? So her hips were like all bent over, and she would walk like this, right? Well, the doc, you know, she's walking on her toes. Let's cut her Achilles tendon. It's a special maneuver, Z cut or something like that. So she walks a little funny. She doesn't throw the ball as well as her older sister. But other than the butchery that she survived, she's completely normal. And that's a chiropractic miracle. So knowing those things, now we're pediatric doctors. We're going to take care of all the babies, right? We're going to take care of handicapped babies. And then another person came in, and then another, and they were all different. And then I said, you know what? I'm not any type of chiropractor, but a chiropractor who takes care of subluxations. Because subluxations suck the life out of people. And you can see it on the reverse when you start to unfold them. They blossom like flowers. That's my fat years when I just ate a lot. Just thinking about that meaty burger. Next slide. Yeah, those are my homeless years. I was living under a bridge. Still on my history, aren't we? Let's roll them. Yeah, so it's important. How many of you have seen this on Facebook? I just loved it so much. It's important to be yourself. It's the most important thing in life. Unless you can be Batman, then you always be Batman. Because Batman's invincible, right? We celebrate the things that unite us, not divide us, right? I don't know how many chiropractors are on the core mailing list. I don't know how many chiropractors are in San Diego. Every freaking one of them should be here. Why? Because I know that I can't live 3 or 4 days without talking to a chiropractor, getting adjusted by a chiropractor, reading chiropractic crap. I'm married a chiropractor. I can't get enough of this. How many of you guys feel like that? You just can't get enough of that. I don't know what it is. And then these guys are like, oh, let's bring drugs into the profession, man. Come here. That's what we do to those guys. We'll give you drugs. You want drugs? You can have all of them. But, you know, being the lover, I'm a lover, right? I'm a lover. We want to love them a little. But we're going to look at the things that unite us. So we look for the commonalities, and that's going to make the difference. Yeah, your upper cervical. Yeah, your anterior coccyx. Where's my man? Bless your heart. By the way, Joe gave the entire talk, so I'm just telling stories now, okay? Like, we're talking about leadership, and I thought, oh. Now, how many of you, right, are going to look through these slides and say, oh, Joe talked about that. Let's just go grab another beverage. All right, next slide. During trying times, our fellow DCs need to hear a friendly voice. They need to know they are not alone. They need to know where to turn. They need to get back to the basics, back to the core. Are these trying times for chiropractic? Yeah, because you know what? Today you had some trying times. But the difference between all of you is you made it happen. You overcame that. You said, you know what? Chiropractic is bigger than whatever problem I'm running into. and I'm going to make lemons or lemonade out of lemons every single time. And I'm going to sell it for a profit too. All right, next one. So, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Now, how many of you does that resonate with? Yeah. Yeah, because you don't want to go there, but that's where the excitement is. Those are the stories you tell. Oh, dude, you know, I was at the edge of this cliff, and I was right there, and I was so scared. I just really didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. And I said, you know what? F it. And I went. And that made it awesome. And I came out of that water, and I was like, woohoo! That's awesome, right? At the end of the comfort zone. So we're going to do a little activity here, right? We're going to do a little uniting. We're going to do a little bonding, a little elbow rubbing. We got a good-sized crowd here. So here's what we're going to do. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, comfort zone. It's in your little box. In your little box. So let's do this. Partner up with somebody, one person with one person. Come on, you can find some. And here's what you should do. Wait, don't. Find someone preferably that you do not know. Because are we pushing the envelope? Because you're going to do it with your buddies. It's like, I know everything about you, right? So get up, move around a little bit. It's not going to take very long. Yeah, that's what I like to see. All right, do it quickly. Quickly. Like you're moving practice members into the hot seats. All right, everybody got a partner? Raise your hand if you do not have a partner. You guys are all good, tight? Everybody's good? You two found each other across the room. It's like love. Yeah.
That's such bull crap.
Yeah, you know it. All right, you guys all paired up? All right, here we go. Shh. You see, you get chiropractors together, they start getting excited, and then it's hard to rein them back in. All right, so here's what you're going to do. This is a drill we do sometimes with our staff, and we do it on a regular basis, so it never gets old. So you can use this for your staff if you do that. You can use it with your family at a family reunion. You can use it for anything. And I call it the affinity drill, because you'll see what happens afterwards. Okay, so here's how it's going to work. You're going to partner up. You're going to choose an A partner and a B partner. A partner is going to go first. We'll keep it easy, right? And A partners, who's here is an A partner? Raise your hand. Should be 50%. Yeah, okay, good. You guys raise your hand, you're bold. Raise your hands again, A's. Point to your B partner and say, you're going first. But the B partners have the easy job. So you're going to ask 3 questions. How many questions are you going to ask? 3. You're going to ask 3 questions, and here they are. Next slide. You're going to ask 3 simple questions. Number 1, tell me something you like about me. Hold on, don't start yet. I know you guys are ready to roll with this. Tell me something you like about me. Partner A is going to say, I like your hair. Now, here's the key. Number 1, be authentic. Don't just say, oh, I like your hair. Take a second. Take a second, right? I love the glow, right? Be authentic. Connect with them for just a split second and then zero in and say, boom, the thing that you like about them, right? The partner receiving that thing, they don't get to have a discussion or say, oh, this old ratty jacket, you know, nothing. All they say is, thank you. Then you ask the second question. Tell me something we have in common. Everyone's going to go, we're both chiropractic, we love chiropractic. Okay, get a little creative, right? Tell me something we have in common, right? You may have to dig a little bit on that. And then the third one's the bonus round. Tell me something I don't know about you. Now, of course, it's going to be easy if you partner up with somebody you have no idea. And so, keep it PG-13, okay? I don't want to be hearing, I had sex with animals or anything, right? Keep me something I don't know about you. You ready to go? All right, this is not going to last long, but it's going to get loud, so I want you to put some effort into it. Everybody ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3, go.
So, I'm going to tell you something that I like about you.
Dude, is this your water?
Yes.
Thank you.
Tell me something. Tell me something I don't.
And then when you're done, you're going to switch. All right, how many of you need more time? All right, 30 seconds. Yeah, that's what I say. It's the guys. The guys are the slow ones. Yeah, they are chatty. Yeah, you're supposed to switch. I figured you were on that. You didn't hear because you were so engaged in that. Yeah. Good. All right, and give your partner a high five and say, "You're awesome." Beautiful. Very simple drill. And notice, I can't even talk now. Notice the tone in here. Very much more animated, more alive, right? Very simple drill. People are ready to serve after that because they're juiced. They're like, "Oh man, you got a tattoo. Wow, that's awesome." Right? All right. All right, let's go to the next one. Where do you live? There's 3 areas that I like to call the circle of influence, the circle of control, and then the circle of concern. So, for example, a circle of concern is like things like over in the Middle East and politics and things that you can't do anything about, but they worry you, like chemtrails and the GMO non-labeling and Monsanto screwing up everything. Those are some things that are of concern. Now, they will be ultimately detrimental to your life if you A, dwell on them, and B, dwell on them some more. There's nothing you can do. So it's just unequivocal stress. Then you move into the circle of influence. Those are things that you can do something about. You can vote. You can create awareness, say about the chemtrails. You can create awareness about chiropractic. You can take out a bigger ad or do 10 more screenings or meet 15 more people. Those are some things you can influence, but you don't really, I'm looking to do the Del Mar County Fair, right? For the first time, it may be my last time, right? It's the mother of all fairs, right? So I'm going to influence a lot of people when I'm there, but I can't control them. And then even smaller than that is a circle of control. Those are the things you can do. You can get up in the morning 15 minutes earlier, right? You can crack open a green book. You can do 50 crunches and sit-ups. You can make a change in your life. And sometimes, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but sometimes in my experience, my circle of control is like the size of a dinner plate. And I've been to a point where I can take care of my personal hygiene, and that's about it, right? Because I've withdrawn from the world. And as you start to take control, you're able to move this circle of control a little bit further out. And now you're into this circle of influence. So now that when you say something in public about chiropractic, it has a little bit more sticking power, right? And then that builds up even more confidence, and then your circle of influence starts to spread, and your reach goes. So we have a reach that goes to West Virginia. We have a reach that goes now to the West Coast, and we're global. So there's no place where people don't need chiropractic. It's in your mind, that small 6 inches between your ears, right? These are my guys. These are my 3 sons, our 3 sons. And they were all born at home, unassisted home births, 20 years ago. Not all of them 20 years. The guy on the left is Tyler. He'll be 21. And I'd love to share a story about him, but I don't have enough time. The short story is that he was stuck in the birth canal. And it was like in and out, and you could see his head crowning, and it was like, oh my gosh. And then this bubble started to appear, right? And I go, oh, that must be the amniotic sac, right? So, ever since chiropractic college, I've always carried a safety pin. It's the simplest way to explain chiropractic. So I have safety pins, of course, and I'm thinking, oh, that's the amniotic, he can't breathe, or, my mind starts going, my educated mind, it's worth crap, starts going crazy, and I thought, I'm going to pop that. And as I got my safety pin out, it was sterilized, because I'm a doctor, I'm coming toward this thing, my hand started to shake, and I go, oh, that's not good. And I pulled my hand back, and I felt calm. And I said, oh, that thing, it's like a bubble. He's stuck in there because there's a water balloon, trying to get out. And so I come with the pin again, and my hand starts shaking. I start to feel nauseous and dizzy, and I go, Innate's speaking, right? And I'm not listening. Innate goes, do not do that, dude. So I put the thing away, and I immediately felt better. And the next contraction, his head comes out, and he's straight down, nose straight down. So you know what that means, right? He's stuck. And my first thought of all of the stuff that goes on in your head in this situation, right? It's intense. It's an aura of love in there, right? It's not medicalized. It's in our bedroom. And so I'm like, this is the coolest thing. And his head pops out, and he does one of these things. Swear to God. He looks around, and my first thought is, oh man, I should have cleaned up a little bit more. I wasn't really prepared. Like, that drapes don't even match, right? Like, I can't believe that thought popped into my head. So he comes out, and then he does one of these, and I'm standing right there, and I'm like, don't look at me. I don't want him to look at me, because I'm freaked out, right? There's a human being halfway inside another human being. There's something you don't get to see, right? So he pops out, and he looks right at me, and then it looked like he winked at me, but I don't think so. It was like, right? And he pulls his head back in. I cannot believe that Kim did not go, no, buddy, that's a one-way door. He pulls his head back in, and the next contraction started from her right corner of her abdomen and went over to the left lower, and it corkscrewed him, and he pops himself out. No tearing, no C-section. They would have cut her open. And I thought, another lesson. And I take that lesson and I put it with me so that when I can talk to practice members and they're scared and they're nervous, I can draw from that. And that's what we do as chiropractic practitioners. We're drawing from our experiences. When we're listening, the more we listen to Innate, the more we listen to the truth. So I want to tell you quick stories about these guys, because the power of Innate is huge. It's bigger than anything that you guys know, and it's inside you. You have no idea how awesome you are. Really, the tip of your finger is more powerful than all of the recorded history of knowledge of mankind. You get that? Joe was saying it earlier, that from 1 cell, 2 cells to 40 trillion, differentiation, it's a miracle. Go look at those things again, read those things again. Don't gloss them over, right? You got your hour of power, and if you're new to the hour of power or your morning time, just go look at picture books, right? Go look at picture books, and you'll be like, wow, that was really amazing. I went from newt to human being in a short period of time, right? All right, next slide. So there's Tyler, who at one point had so bad, he wasn't diagnosed because we never took him to the pediatrician, but it was like asthma. And when he was 18 months old, he was being a kid and he slipped off a rolling chair on a hardwood floor, and I hear this big bang. He hit his head on the desk, hit his head on the floor. I rush, he's unconscious. I don't know what to do. I grab him upstairs and I put him on the table and I adjust him. And he blinks and I'm like, oh, that's chiropractic, right? But the problem was that was crisis care, and I thought I was out of the woods. But he knocked his atlas pretty good. And so over the next couple of days, he developed a fever. And over the next 9 days, he was projectile vomiting, 18 months old, not eating, right? Losing weight. Visibly, I could see him losing weight. Lethargic, pretty much out of it. And now we're scared. Because we're like, oh no, is this medical emergency, or do we suck as chiropractors? Does chiropractic not work all the time? So we call up people we knew from back in the old days, back in DE, the guys that we bummed lunches off at school, right? When the chiropractors came down for DE, we'd go like, can you take us to lunch, right? Mostly for the chiropractic conversation, but also for the free lunch. But anyway, so we called these guys, and they're like, here's what's really amazing. Take an emergency room. Huh? Okay, mentor off the list. Boom. Somebody's got to tell me something other than that, right? So I call up like 4 people, and they're like, "Did you check his atlas?" I'm like, I wish you were here right now, because I'd slap you. Yeah, I wish you were here. So no, of course, no, we don't check his atlas. What? What do you mean? We put talcum powder on his head. Well, isn't that fixing everything? So, yeah, exactly. Let me. So we finally, gosh, I could just tell stories all night. So I call up Jennifer Pete. How many of you know Jennifer? Okay, so I don't know her, and she gets on the phone. That's number one. She gets on the phone with me, and I tell her the situation. She goes, "Check translation." And I go, what's that? Right? And she says, okay. And she tells me how to check him, to see if he's got this shift in his skull. And I'm like, it's the stupidest thing I ever heard. So she goes, I'll wait. So I put the phone down on the kitchen counter, and then I go over, pull him out of his, out of his mother's arms, and I hold him up, and he's like, there's nothing to him, right? And I hold him up, and I see this. His head looked like a typewriter, the old type. You guys don't know what a typewriter is? Okay. And it looked like it was all the way over. I mean, it was like all the way over. And I go, oh my God, I never saw that before in my life. And so I run back to the phone. I go, it's really bad. What do I do? She says, pull it over to the other side and tap his atlas. I go, really? You serious? She says, do that. Check him every half an hour. If by 4 hours his fever hasn't broke, then take him to the emergency room. And I thought, okay, that's something. I could do that. 2 adjustments later, his fever broke. He came out of it. He was looking around. He's like, started crying. He was happy. I don't know where he went mentally, but he was not there. You know what I'm saying? He was like on his way out. And the alternative was antibiotics and drugs, because we weren't going there. So I called her back, and I said, what the hell did I just do? She said, you gave him an adjustment. It's probably his first adjustment, which made me feel really horrible. So I spent the next several years following Don Harrison around and learning all his stuff. And that was our basis of our practice. So he became like all state, everything, soccer, lacrosse. He's a machine, right? And you can't tell. You never know how far reaching. What if we didn't do that? Maybe he would have like asthma. Maybe he would have allergies. Maybe he'd have chronic headaches. Maybe he'd be like paralyzed or dead. You don't know, right? And we were leading with our heart the whole time. Next slide. This is my middle son, Raleigh. Mary knows Raleigh. He's a character. There he is on the right at the gates for snowboards for when he was a junior. He's a senior. He goes to school in Colorado, which is why I drive a crappy car, because they all go to boarding schools. But he got in as a wild card in nationals for snowboarding last year, and he was pissed. Because this guy is a hard driving kid. And this year, he qualified outright. And I said, you qualify for nationals, dude, I'm there. I'm not going to let that slip by again. So guess what? Middle of the week, nationals, couple of races, looks like I'm going. So those arrangements are made. But the kid, he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do, Dad, but it doesn't really matter because chiropractic is in me. So I might be a chiropractor, but I also may breed pugs. I don't know. I've never bred pugs, but maybe it's as cool as being a chiropractor. I don't know. You get up in the morning, you're like, pug, go at it. I'm a pug breeder. I don't know. Right? Next slide. About 2 years ago, our youngest son, Pierce, skidded off a mountain and lost the battle with a tree. Here's his right femur. Where I got a call at my office an hour and a half from the ski resort. I don't remember driving there. Generally speaking, somebody else should drive you to those things. I guarantee that an angel was driving my car. It was wet, slick, slippery, dark, mountain roads, and I was hauling. I get there, and I'm nervous, of course, out of my mind. Now, nobody's giving me answers. The dumbass doc shows me this picture, this x-ray, and he goes, here, that's what's going on. And I nearly backhanded him. And I go, where is he? And the first question he asked me, he says, am I going to walk again? And, I had to pull my shit together because I can't break down. That kid needs me, right? So, Innate goes, I don't lie to my kids. I never lie to my kids. And Nate goes, just tell them yes. Absolutely. With as much conviction as you can get. So I go, absolutely, dude. I figure you're going to be walking out of here in about a couple hours. He's like, okay. And then, boom, he passes out. So he had a rod put in his leg. He had never had drugs in his life. And the first drug he ever had was morphine. This kid was in outer space. The traction splint they put on his leg to keep the bone ends apart was digging into his sciatic nerve. And I was holding pressure on his atlas in the ambulance because they had to transfer him from one hospital to another because there's one hospital, you know, they were like, we got pixie sticks to put his leg together. I'm like, oh, we're going to another place. So, and I'm holding contact on his atlas, and that's giving him some relief in his, I don't even know, some you know, Carrick maybe could explain that, but I'm just holding on to him going, he's feeling better, and this is what I'm just doing this, right? Take my finger off, he's getting sciatic pressure. She says, how's your leg feel? He's like, it's a 4, right, on a scale of 1 to 10. He goes, but my butt. She goes, I can only give you morphine for the bone. Really? Okay. So we get there, long story short, 2 years, right? When he gets out of the hospital, backtrack, so gets the surgery, he gets this rod inserted into that femur. They got him on drugs. He's never been on drugs, like Lortab, Percocets, Percolator, whatever. The guy's, he doesn't want to do, he's supposed to be able to be weight bearing. He just wants to stay in bed and watch cartoons. And I'm thinking, I probably would too with that stuff. It takes away your beingness. It takes away your drive. This kid is one of the most driven children I've ever met in my life. He runs his parents. You got it? When can I, Dad, can you get me a MacBook? Dad, can you get me a MacBook? Dad, can you get me a MacBook? He stopped. Dad, can you get me a MacBook? Right? And it took it away, and I saw that what the drugs did, because we don't have experience with drugs, right? And I saw it was sucking the life out of him. I'm like, never again. So 2 years later, he's grown so much, the rod doesn't fit in his leg anymore. The screws are wiggling. He's playing lacrosse. He's smashing into people, right? And he's like, yeah, I think my leg hurts a little bit, Dad. I'm like, oh my God, you got a titanium rod and 4 screws in there, right? So he says, I want to get it taken out. So then we go through this process of getting it taken out. Oh, by the way, like first surgery, no insurance. Oh yeah, it's good to be a chiropractor for that point, right? You're like, oh, okay. Well, we have this that we were saving for something, but I guess this is what we were saving it for. So now we got catastrophic insurance. So 2 years later, he goes, Dad, I'm not taking any drugs. None. I'm not taking any drugs. I'm not even going under anesthesia. I said, oh, okay. I don't think they're going to work on you without anesthesia, right? And true to his word, this kid had a half a Tylenol the day he got out of surgery. That night, do you see him there? Half a Tylenol, and he's like, you know what? I feel like I ripped myself off because I took that. The previous son with the snowboarder broke his arm snowboarding. He's like, I'm not taking any drugs. And I'm thinking, it's a broken arm. This is when you give drugs, right? It's not really a chiropractic issue. It's a medical emergency, right? You got a broken bone, dude. Like, okay, take your drugs. This is when they say it's okay. He goes, I'm not doing it. I go like this. The nurse gives me the prescription. I put it in my back pocket. I go, we'll see. That kid ran a fever. He gnawed on his belt. He kept me up all night. Not a wink of sleep for either of us. And he didn't take anything. About 4:30 in the morning, I'm looking at my spice rack going, what can I mix up here? I know there's got to be some sort of concoction here. What if I like turmeric? I heard turmeric was good for you, right? And how about salt? Yeah, I'm delirious, right? He makes it through that night, and I thought, oh my gosh, we're not going to make it another night. And he says, Dad, thanks for sticking by my side all night. The next night, the pain was 80% less, and he slept most of the night, and he was done with it. And I thought, man, I was like ripping him off myself. Here, kid, take drugs. This is a time. Why? Because I love the guy, right? I don't want my children to be in pain, but he taught me a lesson. Both of those guys, they teach me lessons all the time. They're some of my best teachers in chiropractic, you know? Whether they become chiropractors or not, they're chiropractors already. It's in them. They think above, down, inside out, right? All right, next slide. Yeah, that's when he's looking a little bit better. Funny guy. Next one. Yeah, 3 things I know. Life principle, confront and get back off the mat. Let's go to the first one. We're going to run through these pretty quickly. Life principle, inspiration, then perspiration, then manifestation. You get how that's going to work? You're going to see how this rolls. Next one. Life principle, seed, soil, plant. Let's read the next one together. Life principle, creator process, creation. Can you see how that's happening here? Next slide. Thought, process, form. You want something to show up here, where do you got to start? Over here. And you got to get it so well equipped in your mind. My wife, Kim, she said that she dreamed of me when she was in the 3rd grade, so that she knew who she was looking for when she found me. It's a little freaky, I will say that, right? Because I didn't have that with her, but I did have that trust, that innate trust, like she knows what she's talking about. I think I can go with this, right? Plus she's smoking hot. All right. Genes or DNA, environment, and expression. So what happens in this middle part? The environment. You guys are in an environment right now that now you're thinking about chiropractic, you're thinking about innate, right? Life is good, you're hanging around. Then you're going to go back out and battle the forces of sickness and disease and death and chaos and ridiculous false education. So we have our self-talk. You were talking about the affirmations. So vital. So vital. Your experience, the things you draw from each day in chiropractic, the things you draw from in your talking to colleagues. I'm learning from you guys. If you haven't checked out Chiropractic Success Stories on Facebook, go there. I started it last July. We have about 1,000 members now. How many of you are on it? Couple. And it's just pure chiropractic stories. You know, Joe walks in, da-da-da, and they're incredible stories. And it makes me so proud to be part of this profession. And I can draw from somebody else's experience. That's the greatest thing about chiropractic. And then modeling. Who do you model after? Right? We got some of the greatest chiropractors in the world in this room. Serving, making it happen. The discipline it takes to get to these numbers, the discipline it takes to serve as many people as they're serving, those things are worth modeling. And you're different. You're different. Like, after 22 years of being in chiropractic, if I was going to be at $1,500 a week, I think I would have hit it already. So I had to realize, you know what? Where can I serve chiropractic? So I serve on Life University's Life Force program. So we feed students there. Champions of Life, we're going to go there. I put out a flyer here because I'm doing a chiropractic career night, right? How many people are going to get there? 1? I don't care. 100? I don't care. Because I'm going to tell the story. And if the right person shows up, they're going to get wowed. Next slide. Right? Life principle. Father, Son, Spirit. Manifestation. How it shows up in the world. You got it? It's a recurring theme. How about this one? I think you've seen this before. One cause. One correction. One cure. What are we talking about? One cause. The eternal cause. The cause of the universe. Right? And one correction. The removal of barriers between that. Expression. And then we have the one cure, which is the life expression. Right? You guys are running that right now. Next slide. Art, science, and philosophy. We hang out doing our art, doing our science, and a lot of the profession is clueless on the philosophy of it. And so here's my charge to you. My charge is everybody here knows at least one chiropractor that should be here. Can I hear an amen to that? Yeah. They should be here, and they're not. They should be at everyone, and they're not. When I found out that there's nothing going on in West Virginia chiropractically. Nothing. So, Matt says,